All right, hello everybody. Let's do this. Let's continue our journey of trig. And the idea for this lesson is word problems within trigonometry. So we'll start with the basics and then we'll try and do more advanced stuff as we continue on. So what I'd like you to do is first take a second, copy this question down and see what we can get out of it, and we'll do it together. So here, let's read it. It says, if you place a 10-foot ladder against the top of a 6-foot building, how many feet will the bottom of the ladder be from the bottom of the building? So for something like this, if we're going to look at it for the first time, let's just go step by step. And let's read, anytime you have a word problem within math, the idea is you want to make chunks. You want to break things step by step and create a visual. So let's look at the first part. It says, if you place a 10-foot ladder against the top of a 6-foot building. So let's just have this part over here first. So if you place a 10-foot ladder against, okay, and then here we're going to have the top of a 6-foot building. So you have to create some sort of visual. Let's make a visual, right? So here's the visual. So let's imagine that here is the floor, okay? So this is the floor. So we're going to say this is the floor. And now you're going to place a 10-foot ladder against the top of a 6-foot building. So if this is the floor, and let's say this is our 6-foot building, let's say it's right over here. So this is our building is over here, right? Now we're going to place a 10-foot ladder against the top of a 6-foot building. So if this is the building right here, right, and we know that the distance from here to here is 6 feet, right? This is 6 feet, and this is running out of ink. We're gonna place a 10-foot ladder against it, so the visual should look something like this. Okay, and that's the idea. It should have been, that's a little cut off, but you see, this is the general idea. So this is the ladder over here. Okay, and this is your building, and this is the floor. So now what the question is stating, it's saying, let's break down the measurements, right? So this is 6 feet, this is 10 feet, right? Now it's saying how many feet from the bottom of the ladder, so where is the bottom of the ladder? It's right here. How many feet from the bottom of the ladder will be from the bottom of the building? So what we want to do is we want to find the distance from here to here. And then how can we do that using trigonometry? If we have a triangle like this, right, we should be okay by now. This is 6 feet, this is 10 feet. What are we missing? We're missing this x. So what can we use? The Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem. Okay. So you guys got this. How can we use the Pythagorean theorem? Remember that if we have some sort of triangle like this, notice that we're creating a right angle. That's also important because if you have the floor and this is the building, we're creating that right angle. So we know that this is our C, our hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle, and this is our A and this is our B, or it could be switched. So we know, what do we know? We know that our A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? And now here, oh, okay. Here, what do we have? We have the 10 squared, which is our hypotenuse, and then we could have this be the A. So this is going to be 6 squared plus some x squared, right? Or b squared, or whatever you want to say. But we want to find this distance. So then what would it be? It's just 6 squared is 36 plus x squared equals 100. How do we've done this so much by now, how do we get x squared by itself? We get minus 36 minus 36. And then we're going to have, I'll put it over here, we're going to have this cancels out. We have x squared equals 64. And then how do you get rid of, how do you get x by itself? Square root, x is equal to 8. But what does this 8 represent? This is 8 feet, right? And it represents the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the bottom of the building. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Let's try another one. Let's see. Okay, so let's read this. What I'd like you to do is copy this question down read it and try it for yourself, right? So it's stating that you start driving north for 16 miles, you turn right, and drive east for 30 miles. At the end of the driving, what is your straight line distance from your starting point? So before we even start this, let me just make sure we are all okay with something like this is north, this is south, this is east, and this is west, right? Up, right, down, left, okay? Now let's start from this position here, right? Let's say this is you. So let's break this down. So you start driving north for 16 miles. So this first part of the sentence, let's say we're gonna drive north for 16 miles. So let's just say, boom, 16 miles. And we'll label it here as 16 mi, which is miles. And then the next part, it's stating that you turn right. So notice that first, this was the starting point, right? So this is the starting point. Starting point. We went north for 16 miles, and now it's saying at the end of your drive, and then we're gonna drive east for 30 miles. So notice that we're going east, meaning that we're gonna go to the right over here. So if this is 16 miles this way, we're gonna have 30 miles, let's say this way. Okay, so now notice that we went 16 miles up, then we're gonna go 30 miles east. Okay, now what is the next? And notice that we did this part here, right? We did this part here. Okay, now what's the final question stating? It's saying at the end of your driving, so notice that this part over here, that's the end, right? We started here and this is the end. What is your straight line distance from your starting point? So what is the distance from the starting point to the end over here? And what we want to do is we want to calculate this distance from here to here. We want to calculate this distance. So how can we actually do that? This will be x. And notice, what are we actually making? We're making a right triangle. And notice that if this is our triangle like this, notice that this, what did we create? We created that right angle. So how would you label it? Where is the value? Where's the hypotenuse? This is the hypotenuse, right? So notice we want to find the hypotenuse of this triangle that we created. So this is your A and this is your B. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video if you got to this point and try and set it up. What would the setup be? And try and do it without fast forwarding, okay? Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Right, so we're gonna use, if you pause the video, want to see the solution, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we know that this 16 miles, so 16 squared plus 30 squared equals x squared, right? Now I have to actually, we have to do the math. What is 16 squared? This is 256 plus 900 is equal to x squared. So now we have to add this up. So this is what? 1156 equals x squared. And then how do we get this by itself? Square root. And now here, x is equal to, and I don't know what the square root of 1156 is. Where is my, let me do the calculator, hold on. Let me pause the video and actually get the answer. I have no idea. It's 34 miles, right? And that's what the question was asking. It's saying you started here, you went 16 miles north, 30 miles east. What is the distance from the starting point to the end point? And we use trigonometry to figure that out. All right, one more example and then we're done. So let's take a look at this question over here. It's saying, take a second and copy it down. Here it is saying a certain television is advertised as a 40-inch TV, the diagonal length. So let's draw a rectangle, right? So let's see, let's draw a TV. Okay, there. We got our TV. That is a really good looking rectangle. Yo, Mr. G, let's go. Isn't that not a beautiful, that is a beautiful rectangle. Okay. Getting mad hyped for that rectangle. But it's saying a certain television is advertised as a 40-inch TV, the diagonal length. So just be careful with that definition. Diagonal, when we're talking about the diagonal of a rectangle, we're talking about the distance from one corner to another corner. Okay, so we're talking about from here to here. And that's how TVs are usually advertised. When you see a 40-inch TV, it's talking about the diagonal. So we know that this is 40 inches. Okay. Now it's stating that if you know that the width of the rectangle is 24 inches, so just let's just have some vocabulary. Now look, you see that's not that great of a triangle compared to this one. I'm sorry, a rectangle. Remember, this is your length, this is your width, and the distance from here to here is your diagonal, right? So this is length, width, and diagonal. Okay. What is it? So here we know that the width of this TV is 24 inches. So from here to here, this has to be 24 inches. Okay. And you could have this notation. This notation is inches as well. So I could have just done this. Right. Now, what is the question asking? It's saying, how tall is the TV? Okay, my bad. I messed this up a little bit. This is 24. Okay. And what they're asking is, what's the height? So notice that we created a triangle, right? We have this triangle here, from here to here. So we know that this is 40 inches. See, I went from like such a perfect rectangle to like crap now. But this is 40 inches. This is 24 inches. And what's the question asking? It's asking for how tall is the TV. So what is this height over here? So we have our triangle, and let's use trigonometry to solve how tall in inches is your TV. So here we're gonna have what's the setup? A squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? And if I have my rectangle just like this, that this is the right angle. Remember, this is the C, this is the A, and this is the B. So notice that 40 is going to be on the right side, and then we're going to have 24 squared plus some x squared, right? So what is 24 squared? Oh, I don't know what 24 squared is. I gotta figure this out. Hold on. So what is? Let's ask Google. What is 24 squared? This is 576 plus, okay, what is x squared? Equals 1600. So now let's subtract 576 on both sides. So now you have x squared equals 1024. Is that it? Right? 1024. Okie dokie. So now